Hey, you guys, welcome back to FedBiz Exchange. I'm Michelle Brown, your coach and your mentor. In this video, I'm going to give you the third step to building a government contracting business. In this step, you will find your manufacturers or your service providers. Whether you're doing services or products for the government, I'm going to show you the path that you need to take to get that pricing information, decide which company you want to work with for your potential government contract. Let's get into it. Listen, you guys, before we get started, I just want to remind you, you have Ask Michelle B. If you get stuck with your government contracting, I know in the beginning this can be a little bit confusing. So click on the link in the comment section and either send me a voicemail, which I would love to hear your voice. But if you're still too shy or you just prefer email, you can do that too. Either way, don't go through this alone. Click on the link and ask me your question, and I will get right back to you. It might take me a couple of days because things are really, really busy, but I love you helping me help you. That's my favorite term. I always say that. Help me help you. And you're helping me help you. So click on the link in the comment section and we'll get to that as soon as we can. Now for this video, let's talk about the third step to setting up the process. So I've given you video number 1, the first step, video number 2, and we're going to briefly walk through those before we get into the third step completely. Okay, so in video number 1, I actually showed you that you need to find opportunities in fbo.gov or FedConnect or DLA, whichever it is, DIBS. You can find opportunities that match to the products or services that you decided you wanted to sell to the government. Now, you do know that had to start with your research. So as you can see right here, I used my PSC code 6515, medical products and services, and I decided to focus on medical products to give you an example of the things you need to do and how you need to follow this path. So I decided that I wanted to do medical beds and lifts under my service code 6515. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to fbo.gov or FedConnect or DIBS and find an opportunity looking for medical beds and patient lifts. These are opportunities that would match to my exact product. How do I find those? I already know how to find those because I found all of these things under my code 6515 because I did my homework. So I know if I want to find opportunities for medical beds and patient lifts, what am I going to do? I'm going to start with 6515, or I could use my NACE code that matches to medical beds and patient lifts. So I first find an opportunity or opportunities. I document those opportunities, and then second, what I'm going to do is I'm going to look inside each of the solicitations to get the requirements, meaning what type of bed are they looking for? What manufacturer are they looking for? Or can I use any type of bed? It will give you all of those details inside the solicitation. Now we get to number 3. We have to find the product manufacturer or distributor for the pricing. In my case, I'm doing products, so I'm looking for a manufacturer or a distributor. If you're doing a service, it's the same thing. It's just that you're looking for a service. Okay, so just keep that in mind, but the process is the same. So our third step today that we're going to focus on is finding the manufacturers, because I got the details. Now that I have the details from the solicitation opportunities I found, now I have to find someone who can get me the product. So I went to fbo.gov, and this is what I did. I put in the term patient lifts because I wanted to find patient lifts. I want to sell some patient lifts to the federal government. And look what I found. Now, do you see this code right here, J065? Now, that's not one of my codes. These are the things you learn when you're doing the things I'm teaching you. That's important. I need to add that to my PSC codes because I've never used J065 before. Why do I think that's so important? Is because what if I want to sell the government a lot of patient lists? All of the patient lists are not going to be right here under 6515. Even though this one was already awarded, it doesn't matter. It tells me I could be missing out on a lot of opportunities by just having 6515. I now need to add J065, okay? But I found a few opportunities under patient lists. And the reason I pulled up J065 as one of the PSC codes is because I didn't use the PSC codes to find these opportunities. I just put in some keywords. Now, if nothing came up, I would probably use my 6515 to see what I can find, and I probably would have found this one right here. Okay, so that's all you have to do, whether it's a product or service. Now that you know what you want to sell to the government, all you have to do is go find some opportunities to match what you want to sell. So I clicked on the opportunity under 6515, even though I did notice the J065. That's something that I ran across just by doing my research. I'll add that to my SAM, but 6515, I did find some patient lift opportunities. They look pretty good, in fact. And this is what it says as soon as I clicked on that blue link to open up the opportunity. It tells me what they're doing. The government seeks to establish an IDIQ, which is an ongoing opportunity. So this will probably be for 5 years. They don't always do this with supplies, but it just means that they're trying to get ahead of the game. So they're looking for patient lifts, but they want to continue to buy the patient lifts. Okay, so this is a 60-month, 5-year contract for patient lifts. That's encouraging because if I win something like this, then all I do is keep winning every single year by bringing them additional patient lifts. So I could sell them $100,000 worth one year, maybe make a $20,000 profit off of it, and then maybe another year sell them $500,000 worth. It just depends on what's the cost of everything and how much they need. Well, I'll tell you, I found out how much they need. But before we go to the next page, I just want to have you take a look at the additional opportunities in the second half of your opportunities that you find. On this first page, before you go into the documents, read what it says. You can skim through it, but a lot of times they tell you things that you need to know. Okay, and some of it may be very important. It could give you an idea. It could also help you to determine if you even want to bother with the opportunity or not. So as soon as you get inside, make sure you click on the view changes, if there are any changes, and then read the information, okay, to make sure you're not missing anything. So what did I teach you to do with the hit list? Whenever you want to look at an opportunity very quickly, you're going to go to specific pages. You're going to go to the table of contents first so that you can find, in this case, the product description, whether it's a product or service. You're going to look for the product description, and then you're going to go to the instructions if you decide that that product description meets what you want to do, because sometimes you get to the product description and it's not what you want to do, the product or the service description. So that's the first thing you take a look at. So I pulled down the solicitation and I went to the description, and here's the information it gives me. Why do I need all of this? Because I have to tell the manufacturer or the service provider what I need. Now, one thing I don't want you to do is tell them it's for a government contract. Wait to find out who you're dealing with. Don't tell everybody all of your business. Sometimes you can tell people things and they'll go and try to take it from you or compete against you. I'm not a person that lives in fear like that, but I'm also not unintelligent. You don't teach people how to work against you on purpose. People are going to compete with you anyway, but all you do is give the basic information, okay? You don't need to teach people how to work against you. They're going to figure that out. A lot of them are not going to try and do it, but these manufacturers, when you go to them, if you tell them what you're doing, they might know how to go out there or have somebody go out there and look for it. So keep it to yourself. In this case, I would not tell them too much detail. I would only tell them exactly what I need with the specifications. And the reason I wouldn't tell them too much detail is because this is not a set aside. This is a full and open, but I'm not afraid of it. I'm going to go for it anyway. after I looked at the description, I went to the pricing part of the solicitation where they asked me for my pricing that I'm going to put in, and I found out that they would start out with 15,000 patient lists, buying 15,000 from me. But indefinite delivery, IDIQ, means that they could buy way more than 15,000, but they're starting out with 15,000. And I thought, I like this. This sounds really good. Now let me see what I need to do next. What did I do next? I went straight to Google because I don't have any information on any patient lists. Now, I do know DIBS very well. I could go to DIBS and see if I can look at the same codes to find an approved source. But approved sources are not always the best route. Not to mention, they didn't say I had to use an approved source. And why do I say an approved source is not always the best route? Is because they can sometimes be a little bit arrogant, and they could be the ones that compete against you. This solicitation says that I can use any company that I want to, provided it has all of the specifications. So I go to Google and I look at the NSN, I look at the descriptions. What I do when I get to Google is I actually put in the hydraulic patient lift to see what comes up because that was part of my specifications. And then it gives me a number of companies to call and look at. So I just make a list and I start calling them. But first, I get my questions together. I have my specifications together. I don't need to tell them that it's for the government, not yet. I need to learn who I'm dealing with. So I have all of this information. Now I'm going to make the call. Okay, so out of the manufacturing results that I found McKesson as one of them. Now, I will say McKesson more than likely is not the actual manufacturer. I come from that world of McKesson pharmaceutical. McKesson is the supplier and distributor for a lot of products that come from other manufacturers. So you can get some reasonably cost or reasonably priced, I should say, items that you may be able to work with. There's a difference between the manufacturer itself and a distributor. I like to go directly to the manufacturer if I can find the actual manufacturer. Some manufacturers only have distributors. They don't sell to the public. And when I shouldn't just say public, they don't sell wholesale. They designate distributors, and that's who sells their product. But most of the time, you can go direct to the manufacturer. But I want to start here with McKesson to get as much detail as I can to see if it matches what the government is asking me for. I also have no problem with going to McKesson to get some pricing. You need to start somewhere. Obviously, you're going to do better by going direct to the manufacturer to get your own best pricing. When you're dealing with a third party, there is going to be some additional cost involved, but you wouldn't know the difference if you don't start somewhere. Okay, so you have to know if the company that you're dealing with is an actual manufacturer of the product or are they a distributor. If they're a distributor, they're going to charge you a little bit more in a lot of cases, but it could still be good. So sometimes, like I said, the manufacturer may not sell anything direct. So one of the things that you may not have noticed, but that I remember, is the government said they're not going to pay more than $2,000 per patient lift. I had it on the sign on one of the slides where it said 60 months, that this is a contract for 60 months, 5 years, and that they want 15,000 patient lifts. Right underneath there, I put something that identified what the government said about pricing, and that was they don't want to pay more than $2,000. So when I'm looking around, that's what I need to consider. I also need to consider how much do I want to make. And if I can get something for $1,500 and I'm selling 15,000 of these, that might not be a bad deal for me after I find out how much it's going to cost me to transport. A lot of the manufacturers will include transportation, so you do not pay extra. That's called freight on board. FOB. Now, if you're dealing with a service, it might be even easier because you don't have all of those other costs because you're dealing with a service. Now, the service may tack on travel or something like that, but it works exactly the same way. Okay, so now I have my manufacturers and or distributors. I'm going to ask these questions. I'm going to call them on the telephone, and if I can't reach them by phone, I will email them. Sometimes that's the only way some of them do business, which is fine. I don't like it, but that's just the way some of the manufacturers are. But what you're going to do is give them the details. You're going to name the product first, ask if they have that exact product, if the government gave you the exact product. If they don't, ask do they have something that is equivalent and give them the specs for that product. In my case, I need to know if hydraulic patient lifts are with McKesson, and are they patient lifts that are hydraulics that can hold a 400-pound, up to 400 pounds for the person? Okay, I need pricing. But what I do is I don't give them the whole full price. If I need 15,000, I ask them how much would it cost for me to get 5. The reason I do that is because I want to see if they're truly going to give me better pricing. If they say, okay, I can give you 5,000 for let's say $1,500, I ask them, what if I increase the number of hydraulic patient lifts that I need, like up to 10,000? What is the best deal you can give me? They might say, I can give them to you for 1,200. That's how I do that, because I don't trust that people are giving you the best pricing in the beginning. So I give them something to think about, and they give me a discounted rate. Then if they look like they're going to work out, I ask them, can you send me some literature? I need something with the specs on it so that the government can see. And remember, I'm not telling them about the government. I'm just saying I need that for myself. I need documentation. I need specs to see what I'm dealing with. And then I ask, where is the product made? Is it made here in the United States? Do you have it in stock? If you don't, how long will it take for you to get it? And then I asked, what can you do to speed up the process if the government says they need it in 14 days? Can you get this done in 14 days? In our case, because we are the contractor, we need it in less than 14 days. It has to get to the government, because what if they need to send it to you and then you have to send it to the government? So these are all the things you have to consider. And then you want to know, what do you have in stock right now? Because sometimes the government will take what you have in stock already. Then I want to know, how much cash do I need to come up with? I don't say it like that, but I'm thinking that in my mind. So can I have credit? Do you have a credit application? What does it take for me to qualify? What are your terms? And a lot of them will say, you can have credit. It's going to take 45 days. And that's how you can get started. In those deals, you don't really need any money at all, because a lot of the transportation companies will work with you if you say the right things. And that's how you talk to your manufacturer. And that is your third step to building a government contracting business.